Well, Lord. There I am. I'm going to have to get me some of that non-slip stuff or something in to put under this so that it won't. It is Wednesday morning and I am looking like some torn down mess up in here. But before you go in to judge me, I just got done with a 60-hour shift and I'm tired. And I got to go back in tonight at 8. So, forgive me if my eyes aren't painted and my hair ain't did. Okay? I got the chapstick on. And my nails be looking all trashy too. So, and look at that. Yeah. And look at that. Honey, I got more bags under my eyes than the leather accessories department at Bloomingdale's. Alright. So, I have a couple of ramble. My shirt smells good. You know how when you put a lot of really good fabric softener and stuff in your shirt, and then when you kind of rub it, it smells like Fruity Pebbles. My clothes smell like Fruity Pebbles. That's crazy. And this shirt has been hanging in the closet probably 2 months. It's like scratch and sniff clothing. It's fabulous. But anywho, all right. So all right. Anyway, so we already covered the fact of the telemarketer calls, or I don't, whatever that TCI, or I think I already deleted it. I don't even know what kind of companies these are. But they were very surprised that I did not know the person that they were calling for. I guess if you live in Prestonsburg, it's kind of like the gays. You should know everybody. You know, you don't know them. They're gay. Well, they weren't at the last meeting. Okay? So speaking of gays, I've got a couple of gay things to talk about. And, you know, I would not make a good news person because I don't always have all of the pertinent information in terms of like locations and such. But you know, I've been reading a lot of stuff lately that it troubles my soul, it troubles my mind. I read something the other day about this bakery, which I guess I can look on here. About this bakery, and where is it? It is in Lisa's Bakery. And then I'm going to put gay. Not that her bakery's gay, mind you. She's an anti-gay baker. All right, let's see here. Sweet Cakes. She's in Oregon. I thought she was in Oregon. Sweet Cakes by Melissa. Apparently there was a Lebesian couple who were wanting a cake for their wedding, their upcoming nuptials. Well, Melissa said no, she wasn't having that because they was gay, and that offended her delicate sensibilities. So basically, the problem with that is that Oregon has an anti-discrimination law, and refusing to bake a cake for someone specifically because they're gay violates that law. So they have to pay $150,000 to the couple. The final amount is set to be determined at a March 10th hearing. And you know what? If I was that couple, I want your money. I would take that money. You know what I would do with that money? If I was that couple, I would well, you know what? I'd take a little bit of that money. You know, we'd go to Italy or something and be gay. But the rest of it, I would give to like shelters and stuff for gay teens. You know, kids who feel that they have no place to be, who are kicked out of their homes or whatever. I would probably give the rest of it to that. Or just give me my cake, but don't like put goobers on it or something. Just bake my cake. That's all I wanted in the first place. But anyway, and added that the bakery is not a religious institution under the law because people they're trying to do this whole it offends my religious belief. Well, you know what? You ain't the Church of the Rising Donut. You a bakery. You ain't a church. So basically they're all pissed off about it and yada 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 and this, that, and the other and blah 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 blah. And there's a trend. A lot of these businesses are starting to refuse people because they're gay, and it kind of reminds me. And not that I would in any way, shape, form, or fashion try to compare the gay struggle to the black struggle, because it's two different things. But it's very reminiscent of, well, we refuse to serve you. You know. Next thing you know, I ain't gonna be allowed to sit at the lunch counter and be gay. Um. So then this morning, um, I read, and this is a big trend that I've seen here too. There was a gay couple, and the one guy, um, one of the guys of the couple had some kind of disease where I don't know, he couldn't slobber. I don't know what it was. See, I'd be a horrible news reporter. Um, I mean, look at this. Same-sex couple denied communion by priest at mother's own funeral. Protest held after Colorado church denies lesbian funeral. Church cancels funeral as family is waiting for it to start. Church stops woman's funeral because she's gay. I mean, it just absolutely. And I don't know if you have heard the story or seen the video or read the story about Tom Bridegroom and his partner, Shane. Was it Shane Whitney? Something, I don't know. But anyway, there's actually a movie about that. But anyway, the thing that I read this morning was about the guy, the partner who died, and the church that they were having the hardest time finding the church that would perform the funeral because they were like, no, you're gay, he's in hell, we're not doing that. And they found a church that would, but then they canceled it. And not only did they cancel it, but they delivered to the boy's mother as well as his husband, because they went to New Mexico, yay, and got legally married. But they delivered an envelope to the husband and to the mother, which was stuffed full of hateful messages. He's going to hell. Here's why homosexuality is wrong. And was trying to pull all these scriptures from the Bible, telling him that being gay is a sin and he's going to die and blah, blah, blah. And he's going to die, go to hell. And y'all, my Jesus don't act that way. My Jesus is not a hateful prick. My Jesus doesn't believe in turning anybody away. I mean, I don't care how big of a sinner. I don't care who you are. But this whole, and it's man. It's not the Bible. It's not Jesus. It's man. People talk about God's law and man's law. Well, here's the thing. You'll take these people that want to get the Bible, they want to, scripture it up, honey, and they want to interpret that scripture for you, and they want to tell you all about it, and they write, and honey, everybody else is wrong because their interpretation is the only way to believe. But then you take all these other different denominations who, guess what? They say the same thing. So then you're left standing back, scratching your head, talking about, well, who's right? Who's right? And the thing of it is, this kind of behavior, this kind of hate-soaked behavior that is shrouded in, it's my religious duty to uphold the Word of God. If your goal is to lead people to the church, and your goal is to lead people to God, I promise you faithfully, you're attacking it the wrong way. Because to me, if I was a person who knew nothing about religion, who knew nothing about theology, and all I had to go on was to people like this, who are denying people funerals, and people who are denying people cakes. I mean, we're not talking about a moral dilemma here. We're talking about pastries. Everybody loves pastries. The gays love pastries. The straight people love pastries. We all love pastries. Give me the pastry. What? Didn't catch that. Try speaking again. Ass face. Ass face. Not ask face. See, there's no fun in that. But But yeah, this whole trend of hate and vitriol and everything. God ain't gonna let nobody to the church. How you gonna make them run? They ain't gonna run. They gonna get in the car and they gonna drive fast. You know. I will tell you that probably the one person, and I mean, of course, my aunts and my family, they're religious people. That on my mother's side, I don't know that much about my father's side of the family, but my mother's side, absolutely, they are good, strong, God fearing, church loving people. But they all are some of the most kind hearted, loving people that you would ever want to meet. And specifically, I would like to give a major shout out to my Aunt Jenny. My mother's, they're not biologically, they're not twins, but they could be. They look just alike. And they act a lot alike, too. My Aunt Jenny, who lives in Florida, exemplifies what a good Christian should be. You know what I'm saying? She tries to live her life right. She tries to be a good person. She loves people. She accepts people. She loves the Lord. She loves the Jesus. She loves all that. And she lives her life in a way that you're like, I want that too. If that's what Christianity is and that's what religion is, I totally am for that because she's not an asshole. I mean, I know Aunt Jenny, you may not approve of that language, but but you're not. I mean, she's always been very loving and very accepting of me. And I'm sure her beliefs have taught her that homosexuality is wrong, and I can't speak for her. But what I can speak to is the fact that she has never made me feel less than who I am. She has never made me feel like an abomination or like I'm going to hell or like I'm not good enough. She doesn't do that. She just believes in loving people and living her life the best way she can. That's awesome. You know, um, to me, that's the kind of behavior, that's the kind of attitude that's going to lead people to the church. I am not a role model for anything myself. Um, I went to church when I was younger. I did when I was a teenager. Sang in the chore and did the whole youth group thing. Loved it. I dug it. When they started talking about the homosexuality, it made me real nervous because nobody knew I was gay. Nobody knew. So I kind of scoobied on out of there because I didn't feel like I belonged anymore. You know, I was like, well, they'll, they'll stone me to death. But, and, you know, I love Jesus, but I also love bad language. I do. And I think Jesus understands that. I think Jesus understands I don't really mean any harm. I'm not trying to be a bad person. But I do love some bad language. Now, does that mean that I love Jesus any less because I like to use the bad? No. I just like bad language. It makes me feel naughty. But I don't know. Like I said, there's just a really scary trend that I'm seeing lately with people wanting to denounce people and do it in the name of religion. That's not what religion's supposed to be, y'all. It's just not. And if you want to lead people to the Jesus, then you know what? Act like it. Don't be a dick. Okay, just don't be a dick. Um, so the whole Whitney Houston's daughter thing. And before I go any further, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a disclaimer right now. Anybody got anything nasty to say about that child? Anybody want to say anything nasty about Whitney Houston? You can go ahead and turn this off right now. Put your earplugs in. Walk on down the street. Watch you some Sesame Street. Uh, eat you a sandwich. Go poop or whatever. Okay, because I love me some Whitney Houston. So by default, I love her child. And honey, that youngin is going through some mess. And they're talking like she might not even make it, which I think we're not. There's something they not telling. There's something they ain't telling, or they're not ready to tell. Put it to you that way. But that child, look who her papa is. Bobby Cocaine Brown. And then losing her mother at a very young age. That you know that had to screw that kid up. And you get these kids that live this lifestyle, this fast Hollywood, money and this, that, and the other. And sometimes they go off the rails a little bit. And then losing her mom. I mean, I can't even imagine what this child has emotionally gone through. and then to end up, circling the drain of the same situation that took her mother. I think the 3-year anniversary or something's coming up. It just hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart. And the thing of it was, when Whitney Houston died, you had of course, there's the people that loved her, and then there was people. I saw people being so nasty, talking about how she a drug addict and she alcohol and she deserved it. She got what she had coming to her. And then people was posting pictures of like a military hero next to her, talking about how she didn't deserve no whatever whatever because she was nothing but a drug head. Let's celebrate this military person. Which, you know what? I ain't gonna take away nothing from nobody in the military. I think the military people should be upheld. But do not for a second put somebody side by side and try to determine whose life is worth more. Everybody makes a contribution. Mine's my hair. I mean, not right now. When my hair looks good, contribution to the world. You're welcome. But Whitney Houston's death bothered me greatly. It did. Mess me up because you know what? Her music to me, and this is something really corny, and I don't care, but her music was such a safe haven for me. And it got me through some times, Joe. I mean, it did. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Yeah, I can sit here and be one of these people that say, oh, I love the Beatles and James Taylor, and I only listen to, I ain't got no shame. I did love me some Whitney Houston. She just wanted to dance with somebody who loved her. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm not. Maybe it's not as I mean, I do like some sophisticated music. I do have a quite an eclectic array of music. But no, honey, I love me some Whitney Houston, and I loved her. I think the whole Bobby Brown deal, I think he was her downfall. That's just my honest opinion. That video with Diane Sawyer with him sitting in the background sweating like a pig. Mm-hmm. Talking about, that wasn't okay, cocaine, that was an aspirin. That was an aspirin. Oh, aspirin was cocaine, Bobby Brown, don't lie. But I mean, it was a tragedy. A woman took too soon, and her talent was long gone before she even died. I don't know if y'all had heard her sing the last couple of years of her life, but I mean, her voice was shot, and it was just so sad because I mean, I honestly think, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and you can feel free to disagree with me, but I think she was one of the greatest voices of our lifetime. I do believe that. Beautiful voice, and it was ruined. But to see this child, this poor little child, um, fall down that same path. I mean, addiction, y'all, is a bitch. They haven't come out right and said that it was drugs, but that's what pretty much all the reports are pointing towards. And really, when you hear of a 21-year-old kid, typically, unless there is some sort of genetic anomaly or some sort of disease process or something going on, typically 21-year-old kids just don't kill over. They just don't. Of natural causes. So, I mean, the finger's kind of pointing towards the old drug habit, and it just makes me sad. And it makes me sad that she probably is going to die. I mean, just from the reports that somebody's found face down in a bathtub, and they said it was only, what did they say, 5 to 10 minutes? They don't. How do they know? I mean, if she was found face down in a bathtub and they had to do CPR, that don't look good, y'all. That don't. The prognosis for that. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, but just from what I do for a living, the prognosis on that, not good. Not good. And it's a shame. It's a big shame. So, if any of y'all have any alternate opinions talking about, well, they drug kids, they kill kids, they deserve it, keep those to yourself. Because I think addiction is something that people do struggle with. I think it's a real thing. And I think when you look at why people are addicts, people talk about addiction and say that, well, the addiction is the problem. They just need to quit doing whatever it is they're doing. And that's not it. Addiction is a symptom. Addiction is what happens when there is some sort of underlying issue going on in their life that they can't cope with. They turn to the drugs. They turn to the alcohol. because they ain't trying to cope with it. They ain't trying to deal with it. Whether they lack the skills, whether they just don't want to, whatever. But a lot of people will drink until they pass out, or they'll take drugs so they don't have to feel nothing. Because they're either depressed or they're this or that. Listen, it's real easy to sit back and cast judgment on somebody for something that you ain't got no clue about. And that's what a lot of people do. They pass judgment. And have been a lot of lives lost to the beast that is addiction. And I think something's got to give. I mean, I think there's a lot of doctors out there, honey, I think that are creating addicts. They're just, and the thing of it is, we live in a society where there's a pill for everything. You know, when I was growing up, if you was a bad, unruly child, you know what they did to you? They paddled you. But now it's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I was diagnosed with it. Oh, we got a pill for that, which I won't take a pill for that. I'm not, no. You know, oh, your butt hurts? Well, here's a pill. Oh, your toe hurts? Here's a pill. Oh, you feel a little moody today? Well, here's a pill for you. You know, your hair ain't looking right? Take a pill. You can't poop? Take a pill. I mean, we're an over-medicated society. And I know people, honey, I know people who are, I call them doctor-created addicts. Because these doctors will put them on all these medications and they start abusing them, but they think that because the doctor gave it to them, oh, I'm not an addict. The doctor gives this to me. It's like, yeah, but you're abusing them, and it seems to me that there will be some kind of sanctions or something in place to test these people's levels. And when you get beyond a therapeutic level, if you show up at the doctor's office and you're high as a Georgia pine, you know what? We can have talk. We can have talk. And it's everywhere. I mean, you know, it's people want to talk about Eastern Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky. Honey, it's happening everywhere. It's happening in every state, every city, everywhere you look. And people are dropping like flies. And it's a problem. You know, a lot of people, they don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. You know, people that got somebody in their family that has an addiction. Well, we don't want to ruffle no feathers. We don't want to step on no toes. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to step on toes. It is. Sometimes it's okay to get in somebody's face, because if you don't, the next time you see that face is them laying in a casket. And nobody wants that. So, there it is. But anywho, those are my rants for today. Gays and drugs and stuff. So, there it is. I'm going to drink my cosh and hang out, get cleaned up. I'm going to make me a meatloaf, a turkey meatloaf with this macaroni and cheese. And I'm going to get hold of May because I want some green beans. And I best get them too. Probably capping her ass. True story.